Lakers in 5. 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 Lakers in 5.
It don't matter. Divorce court, child support, Lou Dort.
Lakers in 5.
OKC, KFC, UFC.
Lakers in 5.
It doesn't matter. Chris Paul, Jake Paul, Logan Paul.
Lakers in 5.
Serge Ibaka, Chewbacca, Waka Flocka.
Lakers in 5.
Tyler Hero, superhero, guitar hero.
Lakers in 5.
You can have hard, you can have a par, you can get a garden.
Lakers in 5.
White side, black side, sunny side.
Lakers in 5.
Phoenix Sun, Capri Sun, the sun's about to set.
Lakers in 5. 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 Lakers in 5.
What you gonna put on Lou?
Lakers in 5. 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 Lakers in 5.
It don't matter. Divorce court, child support, Lou Dort.
Lakers in 5.
OKC, KFC, UFC.
Lakers in 5.
It doesn't matter. Chris Paul, Jake Paul, Logan Paul.
Lakers in 5.
Serge Ibaka, Chewbacca, Waka Flocka.
Lakers in 5.
Tyler Hero, superhero, guitar hero.
Lakers in 5.
You can have hard, you can have a par, you can get a garden.
Lakers in 5.
White side, black side, sunny side.
Lakers in 5.
Phoenix Sun, Capri Sun, the sun's about to set.
Lakers in 5. Lakers in 5. Lakers in 5.
That beat is
Lakers
crazy.
in 5. Lakers 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 in 5.
What you gonna put on Lou?
Lakers in 5. 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 Lakers in 5.
It don't matter. Divorce court, child support, Lou Dort.
Lakers in 5.
OKC, KFC, UFC.
Lakers in 5.
It doesn't matter. Chris Paul, Jake Paul, Logan Paul.
Lakers in 5.
Serge Ibaka, Chewbacca, Waka Flocka.
Lakers in 5.
Tyler Hero, superhero, guitar hero.
Lakers in 5.
You can have hard, you can have a par, you can get a garden.
Lakers in 5.
White side, black side, sunny side.
Lakers in 5.
Phoenix Sun, Capri Sun, the sun's about to set.
Lakers in 5. 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 Lakers in 5.
Hold on a bit. Damn. I'm trying, you know what I'm saying? Suck my dick. Word of my dad. Fuck you too, man. Hey, word of my dad, suck my dick. For you too, man. Suck my whole dick. Fuck. The fuck? I'm trying to spin. Like, who am I fucking again? And put $100 on punch 4. I'm tryna ride in on me back.
Great cocktail. Perfect. Oh, let's go mingle. They got Drago on the way, sit on my lap. They got Drago on the way, sit on my lap. They got Drago on the way, sit on my lap. Yeah. I don't really care if I say that shit is true. I wanna help you, but I know I can't ever change you. I gotta help myself first, cause I got pain to let it hurt. Why y'all switching up? I don't even really get you. Why y'all switching up? I don't even really get you. Why y'all switching up? I don't even really get you. Why y'all switching up? I don't even really get you. Plus I bag, I'm getting ready. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left. Plus I bag, I'm getting ready. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left.
Boy.
Why I still feel like something ain't right? I touch them, but still ain't caused no ice. I gotta take a chance, sometimes you gotta roll that dice. I'm not high enough, dream of rolling another blunt. Don't need to high.
Fuck.
I don't need no one for this love heart. I can't even bite it, but I was probably lying. They know what the fuck is up. Plus I bag, I'm getting ready. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left. Big ass Drago on the way, sit on my left.
Plus I bad, huh? No, I'm getting rest, huh? Plus I ain't like.
What's that thing?
We gone.
What the fuck?
No, I passed it.
What the fuck? I was born with swag, damn like I lost shit. Girl, in my mama crib, you know I've been that nigga. I'm trying to see some billions, bitch. I've been here since I've been here since I've been here. Chill on with this, ain't no shit. Most of like not shit to me, this really not my issue. But I start thinking about clothes and hoes, I get so damn descriptive. It's like a horse dressed on my jacket, this shit true religion. Top electric jeans that came with stains, my mama asked me did it. Bad boy, in this house, yeah, I'm here to kill it. Oh, what type of time you on? I got time for talking bitch. One day I woke up rich, next day I woke up sick. Cause I got the diamond chain, I ain't had no business. I ain't had no business buying. Fuck it, this shit for the flex. Take some pics for Instagram. First thing hoes look at my game. I can't let you wear my chain. I ain't silky wood. This is stick up, bitch. No control, no, you can't shoot, bitch. What the fuck? Damn, I'm really him. Damn, I run my city. Way back then I was petty. I ain't been home in a minute. Hoes acting like they miss. They wanna see this life. Little hoe, you ain't sure what the fuck you want. You wanna find the fuck. Real deal, girl, look free.
Krager, text me back. Oh my god, sauce.
Yeah. What the fuck this beer wrong feel like? I look kind of money, it just feel right. Talked about this shit, that is real life. Talked about some hoes, but then I realized I need like this hoe, she just feel nice. Don't wanna see no broken house or tears cry. She's so classy, why you set this shit on fire? I'm not for you, hold you go and lay out like. Easy got it, money, but do you spend it right? I got too many, hoes can't find no friend of mine. I got too many bros that go and spend for mine. Bitch, I'm rich as fuck, I caught me 5 pairs up and let's slice. Don't get it, you get pregnant, you gon' have to catch me up. Put her on the knees, I used to put her on the pedestal. Added it, just tell my bank, I love it, I can't ever stop. Shorty on my Instagram, I told this bitch I added time. Bitch, I'm at this time. Yeah. What the fuck this beer wrong feel like? I look kind of money, it just feel right. Talked about this shit, that is real life. Talked about some hoes, but then I realized I need like this hoe, she just feel nice. Don't wanna see no broken house or tears cry. She so classy, why you set this shit on fire? I'm not for you, hold you go and lay out like.
It's on LeBron James.
talk about this music, that nigga, that music street around the corner, nigga, fuck you, nigga. Cause yo, when niggas play this shit, niggas gonna play this shit the fuck back, you heard?
That's facts.
Well, over X, only black shirt. Yeah, you still with sex, what you mad for?
What you mad for? What the fuck is she mad for? Like what?
Well, over X, only black shirt. Yeah, you still with sex, what you mad for?
What you mad for?
Every time I pop out, I'm with bad hoes.
Every time.
My shit, when I get it, I don't pay for. Bitch, I'm Hall of Fame, shit is stacks.
Hall of Fame,
still bad, bitch, I can't pass though.
Hall of Fame,
Stalling niggas, bitch, with no mask on. Chrome shutters, bitch, they got no trash on. Smoking hella weed, yeah, I blast on. If my hoe, she posted up at Castle. Couple years ago, I was dead, bro.
I was dead.
Now they look at me like I'm a hero.
I'm a head.
I ain't stupid, man. Mama nigga stupid, man. I got stupid, man. Call myself that cocaine. You're my favorite bitch. Take you to my jewelry, man. I like $8. Playboys going to Japan. All my clothes is special. How my pants is chrome my diamond. Get my chain in Vegas. Then I got the chrome my diamond. In the club I'm flexing. We got barrels in our section. They say I want to make it. Let nigga be so passive, spending bands in Japan. Free go do your thing. Free go do your thing. You can't catch me throwing bands on. Be hard with my kicks. Every day is temper tantrums. The way I'm throwing flicks. Hella band in the car, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to spin. Switch on shopping. It's a Chulo. And I'm coming tough shit. I need 5 on my squad. All I need to run shit. I got real dollars, bitch. I ain't need to punch shit. Over X, only black short. Yeah, you stupid sex, what you mad for?
Oh my god.
Every time I pop out, I'm with bad hoes.
They hooping
though. When I get it, I don't pack for. Bitch, I'm Hall of Fame, shit is stacks, hoes. Still bad, bitch, I can't pass those. Stall a nigga, bitch, with no mask on. Chrome shutters, bitch, they got no traction.
Yeah, code of the reaper. Yeah, man, nigga camping out here, boy. Nigga really keep that bitch on game.
Where you riding?
Bitch, you lagging out here? You think they camping out here? You think they just rapping out here? Where you riding? So you ain't playing for keeps? So you ain't clutching your piece? So you ain't protecting your piece? Where you riding? Bitch, you lagging out here? You think they camping out here? Think they just rapping out here? Where you riding? So you ain't playing for keeps? So you ain't clutching your piece? So you ain't protecting your piece? You know I say scrap, but I ain't like dice knees. This hoes, if I ain't got a Luger or a Rug, I keep it snug nose. If I ain't got the A or the Carbon, I got the Draco. I swear on your block, at least some shit ain't talking tacos. This is talking tacos, you acting like you macho. Bitch, I bought some shit and knock the sauce out to nachos. The itty bitty pieces, I run the streets with some creatures. If you think I left my rod at home, kill yourself, drink some Steve Smith and West, and I keep it from my protection. I ain't no preacher, but I'm mission, I'm blessed. One-way tickets to heaven, and my brother's keeper. Yes, I am, I really mean it. Say, man, you got a problem, boy, you know I got your fucking back. The Mac can point your finger, say that, bro, you know I'm with that. I run down on the opposition till this bitch click clack. Hold up, wait, the Russian K get the business clip. Behind the family, down a nigga like some Everclear. Bitch, you lagging out shit? You think they camping out here? Think they just rapping out here? Where you rod at? So you ain't playing for keeps? So you ain't clutching your piece? So you ain't protecting your piece?
Where you rod at?
Bitch, you lagging out here? You think they camping out here? Think they just rapping out here? Where you rod at? So you ain't playing for keeps? So you ain't clutching your piece? So you ain't protecting your piece? A light up just like eyes and wave my hand like bye-bye. I know these bullets burn worse than kids eating hot fries. The Eggler's on the mission, so I gave my dog a high five. I lit the blunt to get high, the reaper struck again. So you know a nigga this guy trying to catch an off leg and leave his ass with closed eyes. Hit him with the 4-5, burn his body alive. Then watch his mama cry, then watch the news cause it's been another homicide. Spinning out the renters, I got lead for you for dinner. Sometimes I hit my knees, Lord knows I'm a sinner. I still do drive-bys, yeah, I'm hanging out the window, but I walk a nigga down like a bump
I'm missing
on the
3,
fender.
bro.
Hit him with this hot shit, make his body crispy tender. Shoot him in his shit and make him have to change his gender. Shoot him in his leg, make a nigga look at your stupid ass. Shoot him in his bag, now he rolling to the dentist. Gang.
Oh, got the matchup fucked up, bro.
deeper, put up on deep. I got some shit I can't tell her so no, just anything, can't trust a thing now. I got some family turning up folks, can't smoke with me.
Ass boy.
I let this thing down with people I know. Life made me this way. Life made me this way. Tell me what you need, baby, I could change your life. Come fuck with me, baby, I can get you right. Even up the move, baby, I can need inside.
How did he get? Oh my god. How did he get back there so fast though?
Life made me this way. Life made me this way. Life made me this way.
Empty out your pockets, I need all that. I get the millions, and I fall back. They be chameleons, they'll change for some change. Days ain't the same, they be switching for the fame. Louis Vuitton, I'm in my bag, get how my memory's going. I've been hurting, rock like electric guitars. I be raging, big knots look like yellow pages. Running like a race, get in the way, Brody got the aim to blow you away. The next day you in the newspaper on the front page, praying for forgiveness cause it happened on a Sunday. Life's been getting to me, I just started smoking squares. They ain't getting in my circle, though we still prepared. I'm still dealing with some demons that ain't really there. Grew up a weirdo, 20 piercings and some bleached hair. In 7th grade I didn't have a bed, I had to share. The fuck you think I go so hard for? I got out of there. Have you ever had somebody try to take your life? Sometimes I ain't safe for myself when I stay up at night. I walk a lonely road.
Better watch my health. $500 ain't nothing, I spent that on my belt. Made me $1 million, I did that shit with no help. I ain't never need nobody, I ain't never need no handout. We can go band for band when we go shopping. I'm the only one that ran out. I been around my idols, and I ain't never get fanned out. They tryna copy my shit, but they can't get far. They wanna know in and out.
They asked, how did that boy make it out of the act?
I hop in the car and I hop in the car, they thought I was black. Playing the music and they sounded like it, they thought it was whack. Can't listen to haters, I know I'm the greatest, these niggas be capped. Put my deuce in a mansion, she never spend nothing, no Hamptons. I'm in LA, fuck that campus. They got bloods out here, no crap. I got rich men for advances. You got something about that dick. After that, ain't seen no checks. That shit label, money don't flex.
Don't flex.
If I don't smoke no weed,
Don't feel like myself. I don't need nobody, ain't really no handout. We can go back for a band when we go shopping. Ain't no ones that ran out.
We're at gophnx.com, but you gotta be a diehard to read that article. But lucky you, there is a diehard sale going on.
How long
right
has it been
now.
live though?
gophnx.com/join. Become a diehard today for just $36.
But look though,
$3 a month. You get access to all the Trade Machine Tuesdays that Gerald will be putting together. Steven and I are going to be talking playoff basketball on Thursday morning for our diehards only, once all the Game 2s have commenced, and just breaking down what's going on in the NBA, plus so much more exclusive content, access to our diehard Discord, and of course, for all the sports that we cover here, not just Suns, free t-shirt, 20% discount to all events. This sale will not last forever, so get on it right now. Scan that QR code or go to gophnx.com/join. Become a diehard today for $36. Are we ready, gentlemen?
I think so.
Well, I think it's fitting to start with the Houston Rockets, which is a team that have been connected with KD for months now at this point, and given the recent offensive performance in Game 1 against the Warriors, they might need a little bit more of a punch on that end. So let's start with one of two Rockets trades we'll be taking through today. This one, Gerald, Nets the Suns, another shooting guard. Yay!
It does.
Yeah, they're not. Jalen Green is not coming to the fucking Suns.
Centerpiece, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, and you get one of your first-round picks back, the 2025 pick.
Jalen Green is not coming to the Suns unless you try to flip him.
Slated in with the 9th best odds at the number 1 pick. So this one is tough for me because I personally don't want anything to do with Jalen Green. I wrote about this at length in my article. It's not that I don't believe that he will never get better. It's just that the fit with Devin Booker doesn't strike me as something that works. He does take a lot of threes, which is good, but he's not a super efficient three-point shooter or ISO scorer at all. And I think the Rockets' defense, which was top 5 in the league, was about 8 points per 100 possessions better when Jalen Green was not on the floor. So he's not a lockdown defender either. But I do think if you're the Rockets, this is somewhere where you start. I think if you're Houston, you try to keep Tari Eason out of it. He's one of the best defensive role players in the NBA. I think he could really help the Suns as a plus-size wing who can defend multiple positions. I like Jabari Smith as well. I don't think he's ever going to be, living up to his status as a number 3 overall pick. But he's a guy that will probably be in the league for a decade just because he has the fundamentals to shoot, even though the percentages aren't where they need to be, and he can defend. And then on top of that, you get your pick back. So initial thoughts on this opening trade offer here.
Defense, and defense. Tari Eason, 6'8" with a 7'2" wingspan, is also plus in terms of weight, being able to guard up, but is fleet of foot enough to guard down. Jabari Smith Jr., 6'10" with a 7'1" wingspan, can do very much the same, can go and guard 5s at times, switches, cross-match with them. Ime Udoka's done all of that stuff with those two in particular on defense around Alfred Sengun to keep him from having direct access, granted, from opposing teams to go at him on defense. And they've done a great job in an involved defensive scheme. They both have athleticism and activity that the Suns would really see as a breath of fresh air. And Jabari Smith Jr. in particular is a Kevin Durant disciple. Of the players in the playoffs is him and Paolo Banchero. That'll spend plenty of time training with them, playing one-on-one with them, and just generally spending time around them the past couple of off-seasons now. That's a player that has an offensive ceiling that has not been, I don't think he's scratched the surface yet, honestly.
Yeah.
When the shooting catches up, that will be a step in the right direction, but I think he has a lot more to his game than just three-point shooting. And again, for a Suns team, there will be a need for his abilities and potential to be kind of met. I think this would be a match made if they were able to get both him and Tari.
Yeah, I think that there's a reason why there are some people who are in the chat saying no way the Rockets do that, and I don't think it has anything to do with the players. All due respect to Tari and to Jabari Smith Jr., I like those pieces on the Suns. Jalen Green, I don't think the Houston Rockets would even hesitate to move off of for Kevin Durant, unless even for some reason he goes nuclear in the playoffs, and even then, I don't think so. It's the 2025 first-round pick for Phoenix, because there is a chance that ends up being the number 1 overall pick, or at least a top 5 pick, or a top 10 pick, and that could be very pivotal for a franchise in Houston who's trying to compete for the long term and has a younger core. That being said, I need to say something about Jalen Green, because there's some discourse going out there from Rockets fans that Jalen Green is actually better than Devin Booker. And that makes me want to throw up. Like, that is actually the worst take that I've ever heard in my entire life.
Have they specified with what he's better at? Are they
dating about older women?
Cooking?
Maybe?
Yes, could be that. Like, have they specified? Because that's the only thing that I can think of.
He's a better dunker. Like, that's really it. I don't understand why people be like, oh yeah, no, Jalen Green's got to be like the piece, right? I don't see the fit here in Phoenix with Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker clears him on basically every single level except for pure athleticism, and I could see the Rockets easily moving on from him. But when it comes to this trade, honestly, I think that first round pick makes me want to say yes, but Jalen Green makes me want to say no. I'm like kind of right down the middle here with this one.
You don't say no if you can get Eason and Jabari Smith Jr.
I think I try to move Jalen Green after that. I don't think I want Jalen Green as a part of this team.
But that deal is a template. You don't say no to that. Because that's their
you try to flip them.
You don't get a better return than having both of those two included with the pick.
Yeah, like Green is 23 years old. He could get better, but I do think, and we'll cover 3-team, because for this specific article, I just wanted to focus on straight up 2-team deals. We'll get into some crazier 3-team trades later on in the offseason. But I do think if you're the Suns, you try and find a third team that would be interested in Jalen Green if you can swing that. But this offer here, like if you can get your pick back and you can get Tariq and Jabari, I think that's a pretty decent return with 2 younger players who can help you compete now. But yeah, that one's tough. I feel like for Houston, you're gonna wait until after the draft lottery before you pull the trigger on any of these.
And if it's a top 3 pick, I don't think they're trading it. Maybe
No.
if it's 2 or 3, they'd be open. If it's 1, surefire, no chance they're trading that for at least Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean it depends. If it gives them more leverage, the more valuable that pick is, because then you can be like, take this pick and Fred VanVleet and go away, and that's kind of the offer. I don't know if it's a top 3 pick. I think about it, but I don't know. It depends on how crazy they are about the prospects that are in that range.
Yeah, and Houston is coming from a place of negotiating power. Maybe they don't want to give up now players. Maybe they want to give up some more picks in the future. We do have another Rockets trade that kind of walks that balance for Houston. This one, Houston's giving up Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, and I suppose favorite player, Jock Landale, 2 first-round picks, and 1 first-round pick swap. How are we feeling about this deal that includes Phoenix's 2025 first, 2027 first,
I'm late.
and then a swap in 2029?
This is the deal that you get all of your picks back. You get your picks back in 2025, you get your pick back in 2027, and you get the pick swap back in 2029.
I'm trolling right now.
Obviously, the players returning are really not anything to be too excited about. I do like Jabari Smith. And I like Dylan Brooks because when you listen to the Suns talk about we want to be a gritty franchise, we want to carve out an identity that's built on defense. Dylan Brooks is one of the guys that you probably should picture. He's an irritant. His contract is a little bit bigger than I think a lot of people were expecting, but he's been good for Houston, and the Suns want to establish a new culture, a new identity.
Oh my God!
Brooks is the type of guy that you would want. Reed Shepherd really hasn't done much, even though he balled out in Summer League. Jock Landale, we love Jock on the program, but he's a backup big at this point, so it's really based on getting those picks back.
Yeah, the picks are obviously the most valuable here. I think this is the Houston did not make it out of the first round and potentially lost in 5 games or less. And in that fashion, they hit the big red button with the pick compensation.
Yeah,
I do think Dylan Brooks will be good. I know he gets a lot of attention for the antics that he gets into, but those play a mental impact over the course of games and potential series, which we'll see more of in this series going on with the Warriors. But also his 3-point shooting is very, very reliable, very good, been efficient. And also I believe in addition to making a career high in threes, he also got to the free throw line.
Oh my God, I'm missing so many shots for Rui, bro.
He finds creative ways to put pressure on the rim, can be a connector, can play out of the post. 3-level dynamics that will be valuable for the Suns.
I think this trade is less likely than the first trade. However, I would do this in a heartbeat if I could. Just because you're getting some win-now players. I think Dylan Brooks is great for this culture that you're trying to set, this culture that Matt Ishbia said that he wants to bring, the Pittsburgh Steelers, which Cheryl, I know you loved when he said that.
I did.
And
what about me?
You didn't say anything about
Ravens.
Ravens.
You could have chose a purple team that had more winning involved with that culture.
I don't know about more winning here than the rings, but
what about recently?
Not on Trade Machine Tuesday. Okay, not on Trade Machine Tuesday. We'll save that for the middle of July when we got nothing going on. You guys can battle it out. Ravens, Steelers. Reed Shepherd. I also like Reed Shepherd from the fact that you're taking a shot on a young guard who does have the pedigree there. I don't know exactly how good he's going to be in the NBA, but I don't think his story is anywhere close to being written. And then you've got Jabari Smith, who kind of walks that middle ground between player that you kind of know what you can get from him, but still has some upside and some potential. That fits alongside Devin Booker, who you're trying to build your team around if Kevin Durant does get traded. Leo with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much for being here every day. Leo says, how about my crazy trade? Bucks get Fred VanVleet, Tari Whitmore, and picks. Rockets get KD. Suns get Dame time and a pick. That's your we are still trying to compete, and I don't know about that one.
Yeah, if it's just Dame coming to Phoenix and no picks, I'm
I think he said
firmly-
Dame and a pick.
Oh, and a pick? Okay.
But I don't know what pick that would be.
Yeah, I'll check and see if that actually works. Let me
That's an
look at
interesting one. I like you thinking outside the box and putting in the work to
Mhm.
construct it. We implore for everybody to do that, so we appreciate you seeing it. Or we appreciate seeing you do it, rather. But I don't know if that one makes the most sense for what the Suns are trying to get to in terms of adding around Devin Booker with youth, for one,
Yeah.
and also athleticism and defense.
Yeah, I like Damian Lillard as a player overall, but for what the Suns need right now, I am good on that. But we have
I have
so
a
much
question
more.
for you.
Oh, go ahead. What's up?
You gotta control the show. We can come back.
No, please go ahead.
So in the event that we see the Suns do the trade that we just got done speaking to, as far as with the Rockets, the picks involved. How many of those picks do they keep? How many do they end up flipping?
So we're
potentially
talking
get off
this
the
year's
deal?
first,
Yes.
2027 first, and 2029 first round pick swap.
Mhm.
I think that 2029 pick is probably gone. I think you're keeping 25 and 27.
As in, the 29 pick is going to be attached to Bill, you think?
I think that
Or
you'll
you get
use
off that in
that,
some other
probably
capacity.
use to get off that. You might have to use the 2027 first round pick. I don't think 2025 is going anywhere if they get that back.
Yeah,
Bro,
I think
what
you
the
kind of have to
fuck?
keep it. I did check that super chat trade that Leo sent in. It does work financially.
There you go, Leo.
Attaboy, Leo.
There you
Proud of
go. Well, maybe Leo needs to run Trade Machine Tuesday. No offense, Gerald.
I
but
told you we're saving the 3-tier trades.
I know. We'll get to the crazy ones. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more at a later moment. But we have so many more 2-team trades and a couple of 3-team deals sprinkled in there throughout the show. We're talking the Thunder.
Bro, you can't make
the
this up. He
Spurs,
doesn't fucking
the
miss, bro.
Knicks, the Timberwolves, and we're gonna get to all of that right after this break. I was driving in today and I felt so cool. And I felt cool because I was wearing my Shady Rays, and I know it's impossible to survive a sunny summer here in Arizona without my Shady Rays. Now, there was a time in my life before Shady Rays was a part of it, and let me tell you, I do not look back on that version of Eric Ruby with envy, because he was not wearing crisp, clear, independent, polarized sunglasses that had great optics and that looked great on me. Absolutely not. But now, I am doing that. And not just me, but so many people, including the over 300,000 people who have rated Shady Rays 5 stars. And of course, they have so many different options, whether you're going outside, you're skiing and you're snowboarding.
Did somebody say
which
5-star?
isn't happening in the summer, but maybe you're going on a hike. Maybe you're going up to Sedona to escape the heat. And you need to protect your eyes. Or sometimes I sit in a podcast studio and these lights, well, they hurt my eyes, and I gotta wear my Shady Rays as well. But for PHNX Suns viewers and listeners, go to ShadyRays.com. Save 35%. Wow. 35% off polarized sunglasses with the code PHNX. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use code PHNX today at ShadyRays.com. And if I want to keep looking cool with my Shady Rays, I'm also rocking my branded Bills, which I am wearing right now. It is my ASU branded Bills hat, and of course they have a partnership with ASU, and they also have one with U of A. They also have a partnership with the Diamondbacks as well. They're giving away a branded Bills hat. The best part is it's not just one hat, not just a snapback, but snapbacks, truckers, fitted beanies, and t-shirts. And if you have your own personal brand, maybe a fantasy basketball league that you've been playing with your buddies for years, and you guys have a league logo and you want to get some branded Bills for that, well, you can do that. Maybe a small business, maybe whatever you want. You just designed a logo and you want your own merch. Branded Bills can help you out with that, help you stand apart from the crowd. And just for listening to the show, you can save some money doing it. Head to brandedbills.com. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Carter saying, I'm looking like cutesy legs today. Get ready for legs season, boys. It's gonna get 125 degrees outside. It's going shorts only.
Yeah, but this office is cold.
Yeah,
No.
but you still gotta.
Not now.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Cold?
kind of chilly.
Yeah.
It's a little chilly in here.
No.
Yes.
No.
Gerald's dead serious about this.
In the evenings, it's been very cold
Well,
here.
Well, that doesn't count.
Or, I'm sorry, not cold, very warm.
That
here.
doesn't count.
well, we're not here in the
That
evenings
definitely
anymore.
not
We're not
anymore.
covering any
Not-
playoff basketball. We're not here at night, Gerald.
Now I'm just sad all over again.
No, we're not covering playoff
You guys
basketball.
remember that Torrey Craig dunk against the Nuggets?
Yes. We talked about
Come
it.
on, man. Come on, man. Alrighty then. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. Like goal is 125 as it always is for these 3 p.m. shows. And again, we're going through a bunch of trades that Gerald put together in his article over at GoPHNX.com, but that is locked for diehards to see. I feel like we still have like double the amount of trades in your article than what we have on this show. So many other options. But let's go to another team in Texas, the San Antonio Spurs, sending Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, and 3 first-round picks, those first-round picks being a 2025 first-round pick via Atlanta, a 2027 first-round pick via Atlanta, and their own 2029 first-round pick. In exchange, the Spurs would be pairing Kevin Durant on with Victor Wembanyama and their young core. Yes or no from a Suns perspective, Steven, on this trade with the Spurs?
Getting the picks is obviously most valued in this trade. So, yes, automatically off of the strength of that alone, you have 2 players that can help chip in with the direction you're headed now, and Sohan and Johnson. They check off those boxes. They are players that you also have to invest in with your skill development program. Harrison Barnes is a swap in terms of age for KD, so that is what it is, but at least he's been able to space the floor extremely well this past season and give you a little bit of versatility in terms of veteran leadership.
So
it'll be CP3.
If I'm the Suns,
CP3,
you better be
Devin
offering
Vassell,
3 first-round picks because the collection of
3,
players I'm getting in return is nowhere near
a 3, KD, and Victor
Harrison
Wembanyama.
Barnes, he's a $19 million expiring contract, so that will help you next summer when his money comes off the books. And he's a player that you can plug into your rotation now, decent veteran two-way player who can play the 3 or the 4, depending on where you need him. Keldon Johnson, he's a flawed wrecking ball, but he can be fun. He's also kind of regressed a little bit over the last few years as his role has been dialed back. And then Jeremy Sohan, he's a decent defender, but he still can't shoot. He's still much younger, though. Keldon Johnson, I think, is 25. Sohan is only like 21. So he's still got room to grow. But if I'm the Suns, I'm looking at those picks as saying, okay, you got to justify this. If you're not going to include Devin Vassell in any package, which I went through some packages that include Vassell in the article, and if you're not going to include Stephon Castle, who was off limits in the De'Aaron Fox trade negotiations, you better be making up for it somehow. And so the 3 first-round picks were kind of the only way that made sense.
By the way, that pick, the 2025 Atlanta pick, came in at 14.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be getting a lottery pick, the 14th pick in this year's draft. And then you're banking on Atlanta not being great. They're perennially around that play-in spot. But a couple of years from now, they might have moved on from Trae Young. You don't know if they're going to be full youth movement. So you're playing a little gambling game with there.
Can we throw Chris Paul in?
I mean,
as player coach?
Yeah,
player coach Chris Paul would be amazing.
Free agent, but
Give me player coach Chris Paul.
Yeah. I mean, I like Sohan as a player, just in a vacuum. I think his fit next to Devin Booker would be interesting as somebody who's been put in an interesting position in San Antonio, running point guard for a little bit, and obviously that has scaled back with Chris Paul and, of course, the other talent, Stephon Castle, being in there as well. I don't love this trade. This feels like, to me, we struck out going big fish hunting with the Houstons, maybe even with the New Yorks of the world who aren't as desperate. Because San Antonio is not negotiating from a desperate place.
No.
I think the only thing that would make them desperate is if the medical reports they get back from Wemby suggest that maybe this would be more of a concern.
It's getting
and they
crazy,
have
bro.
a couple of years with him possibly, but I don't see that happening. So I don't love this trade. But if this ended up being the trade, I could talk myself into it because of Sohan specifically and the draft picks. But I would say I'm a no unless this is really your only option.
Yeah, if I'm the Suns, I'm pushing for Vassell or Castle. And even, honestly, with Vassell, the fit with Devin Booker is not necessarily perfect. They've tried to run him at point in San Antonio at times, and the results have been pretty mixed over there. So you're kind of, I'm sure a lot of Suns fans are cringing when they hear the term overlapping skill sets after the way the field thing worked out. So I don't know. This one's tough. And for the Spurs, you have 2 main concerns that add to the uncertainty. Like you mentioned, what is Wemby's status for next year? Because if you're not convinced that you can make a leap next season, you're not putting assets to the table for Kevin Durant. And what is Greg Popovich's recovery
holy
look
shit.
like? Is he going to be back on the sidelines, or are we trusting an interim to coach a team of Wemby, Kevin Durant, and De'Aaron Fox to the playoffs? That also feels kind of shaky to me.
yeah, that's the other piece that I wanted to get to. Is what KD wants to go to the Spurs. If Pop is not there, which I think we all saw the news last week, we hope he's going to be okay going forward. But if Pop is not there, a lot of the mystique that has been gravity for the San Antonio Spurs all these years is not there. That's no indictment against anybody that might be coming in after Pop, but that's one of the biggest gaps to try to fill in the history of the sport, on the sideline in particular.
Yeah, it would make it a lot easier if you had Wemby, KD, and De'Aaron Fox, though. It would be a lot easier to follow that up.
That's true.
I
you have to
think
have
that
them buy into that, though.
If you're trading with San Antonio, and I know, Gerald, you had more San Antonio trades in your article over on GoPHNX.com, getting Stephon Castle would be just beautiful, but I don't think that San Antonio...
I think he's off limits.
Yeah, I don't think that they want to come off of him. But if for some reason they go all in, which doesn't feel like the San Antonio way, if they want to do that and they're willing to part with Stephon Castle, I would be excited about that. Well, speaking of going all in, there is a team who is the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. We still don't know what they're going to look like this summer, but they have a ton of assets, not just players on great contracts, but also a lot of picks. Let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Gerald, can you run me through this first trade here between Kevin Durant's old team and Kevin Durant's current team?
Yeah, the possibilities are endless, and the Thunder, even if they get upset in the second round, I think we can all agree it's not happening in the first round, but let's say they go home in the second round. It's absolutely a catastrophic end to their season. They still have youth. They can still run it back. They're still dealing from a position of power. They're not giving you Shea. They're not giving you Jalen Williams, and they're not giving you Chet Holmgren. So what do you have left? A lot of different solid role players and a lot of first-round picks. So this one would be Isaiah Hartenstein, who's one of the more underrated centers in the league, Isaiah Joe, who's a good shooter, Cason Wallace, Jalen Williams, who's a stretch 5, a little bit undersized, and then 2 first-round picks in the process. For me, this doesn't move the needle enough, even though you are getting a lot younger. You are getting a lot of capable guys who defend. I think Hartenstein would really fill that center spot well. But yeah, I think I would probably be pushing for a different package if I'm the Suns, and I'm talking to OKC.
Yeah, and that's the center, Jalen Williams.
Yes.
By the way.
I don't know. I think they would look at Jalen Williams for Kevin Durant.
Pick, so a decent pick, better than what you have right now, but no lottery pick.
I think Kevin Durant being expiring contract,
so you don't know what Denver's going to be like.
You can bring another fucking player in after Kevin Durant.
We don't expect him to be anywhere
especially
near
if they have success.
What do you say to the first OKC?
And you got SGA over there, like.
I think that was great.
He's gonna be one of the best top 5 players in the league for the next 10 years.
Grandfather offer, which we'll get to. Being said, no.
You're not gonna have a hard time replacing KD.
That's your consolation prize, and I
or getting your assets back.
Air quotations, because you're getting all of that youthful talent plus Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah,
that dude is so good. Like everything you're seeing from Avisa Zubac with the Clippers, Isaiah Hartenstein is more than capable of, and he adds even more versatility than that in a similar stature. So,
I actually really like this trade.
Okay.
You know,
it just has to be after.
Move.
Well, and there's a bigger Thunder offer that's in Gerald's article that we're not going to get to. The next one actually has less players, but has a more established player in there that we'll get to. But Hartenstein, I like Isaiah Joe as a guard off the bench that could just bomb away threes in the modern NBA. Will definitely help this team. I like Cason Wallace as a prospect as well, like a very young guy who can be a wing defender and who can play next to Devin Booker as well, which is the most important thing. And then you're really solidifying your center depth, because I think Jalen Williams can play. You know, he could be a little bit of a stretch big for you. I don't think he's the best center in the world, but that's why you get Hartenstein in this trade. The Miami pick is kind of trash. You know, 20 is great, and I think with this scouting department and what they've done with picks, I don't hate it. But when you look at some of these other offers that we've looked at, and
bitch on LeBron James,
you know, potential lottery picks, our own pick this year, that pick doesn't move me, and the 2027 Denver pick doesn't move me either. There is another Thunder trade that we have, Steven, that has the same picks: 2025 first round via Miami, 2027 first round via Denver, but some different players. So it's Isaiah Hartenstein and Cason Wallace. That's the same. But instead of Isaiah Joe and Jalen Williams, you replace that salary with Lou Dort, Arizona State Sun Devil legend. Shane going crazy behind the Mac. Do you like this trade better or worse? So basically, you're swapping out Isaiah Joe and Jalen Williams for Lou Dort.
I'll preface with, for everybody saying that we're overvaluing KD and things like that, recognize they still have to match his salary.
Right.
To make a trade happen.
Yes.
So you have to put together multiple contracts, because there are only a few players that make that same amount of money that KD does. That being said, though, This is the one that I'm speaking to. The lens I'm looking at it with OKC with. This is the one that
Can
I
we get
would
the
be
ball,
hoping
bro?
for if I was the Suns. Kason Wallace, 6'2", 6'9" wingspan, top 7 point of attack defender per defensive impact stats from this past season. 22 years old, 21 years old.
Young.
So checking off all of those boxes gives you a point of attack defender that can play on the same age spectrum as Ryan Dunn, but that also doesn't overlap with him.
Catch up with David Aldridge, who's standing by from the sideline. All right, Dave.
Thanks a lot. LeBron, you're doing well, but
Isaiah Hartenstein, Lou Dort.
From the Suns, Lou Dort speaks for himself.
And we get to
to
keep Alex
Should be
Caruso.
all defense team in the next couple of weeks. We'll hear about that. And then
Oh, I
Isaiah
like
Hartenstein
that.
just got done speaking.
SGA, Alex Caruso,
No different
Jalen Williams, KD, and Chet Holmgren.
Return for the Suns. We talked about Hartenstein. He's an underrated passer on top of all the other things we talked about defensively. Offensive rebounding. Lou Dort is an all-defensive team candidate. And putting him and Ryan Dunn next to Devin Booker would be awesome.
Kind of struggling
Casey Wallace, I like him. You get 2 first-round picks as well. And 2 first-round picks sounds like a lot, but the Thunder have a mountain of those. Yeah, so that's not an issue.
Great picks.
They're not great picks either. And look, we covered this off the top, but we are operating in a scenario here where the Suns have created something of a bidding war. So you can think that we're overvaluing KD. That's fine. Maybe we are. But I'm sorry, you can't look anyone in the face in the NBA space anymore and say that things are impossible because we just saw the dumbest trade in NBA history with Luka Doncic. So for everyone who's coming in here all arrogant, like, oh no, that's not going to happen. Okay, we said the same thing about Luka, and it still happened. So anything can happen in this league. We're trying to give you guys a range of what these deals might look like, more or less 1 or 2 picks off. Like, things can change. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Like Nico Harrison loved Anthony Davis, and so he gave up arguably the face of their franchise after Dirk for Anthony Davis at age 30-something. And I will remind you, everybody said the same thing about when the Suns were going to trade for Kevin Durant. Like, oh, they're not going to give up all that for Kevin Durant. Look at how much they gave up for Kevin Durant. It is entirely possible.
And he's still playing well on an individual level, too. He hasn't just flamed out, Steven.
And they said the same thing about his age, and they said the same thing about him coming off an injury when the Suns made that trade for him. So,
yeah.
Stay tuned, man. Just buckle up and be easy.
I can't help but smile during this transition. What if I told you that the Phoenix Suns could trade Kevin Durant for a certified Hall of Famer, but you might not like who it is? I'll tell you about that right after this break. After I tell you this next trade, you might want to pop some pure edibles. Of course, not only do they taste delicious, aka these edibles don't taste like weed, but they also work. But they work with you, not against you. And if you've taken edibles before, you know exactly what I'm saying. Pure Edibles uses CBN, CBG, CBD, along with marijuana-derived THC to make sure that you feel good and you feel exactly how you want to feel. That's why on all of their tins they have it labeled as something that they will help you with, whether that's sleep, stress, whether you want to be balanced, uplifted. Whatever it is, you're going to be able to know exactly how that gummy is going to make you feel. Plus, Pure Edibles, whether it's their gummies, their kicks, which is their version of Starburst, chews, or hard candies, they're all designed to be bit or ripped in half, making them easily shareable or, more importantly, easy to dial in your exact dose. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. Also, if you are trying to get some flooring, I highly recommend Empire Today. Steven, if I told you to run a basketball team, you could have an expert or a novice. Who would you pick?
Expert, of course.
That's pretty easy, right?
Know what the Suns would do. You would.
The Suns might pick the novice.
And that's what I was about.
But don't be the Suns when picking your flooring. Pick the experts over at Empire Today. They're better than big box stores that are going to leave you hanging. No, their experts will be in your home, helping you decide what type of flooring, what color of flooring will go well in your home, not just for the shape of it, but for your furniture, for what your walls are painted, because these are things that you need to think about and that Empire Today thinks about because they eat, breathe, live, sleep, and that other word, flooring, every single day. Plus, just for listening to this show, you can save some money. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are better at home, like the Phoenix Suns during the playoffs, and PHNX Suns listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHNX. That's right, $350 off with promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHNX for full details. I want to once again thank the over 300 people hanging out with us here on a Tuesday afternoon live on YouTube. Everybody after the fact, and of course our beautiful, wonderful, amazing, perfect audio listeners who still continue to tap in with us this offseason. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you listen to this podcast, and of course become a diehard today over at gophnx.com/join. And of course, you can read all of Gerald's trades that he whipped together, including this one. That what's that song? How does it go? It's provocative. It gets the people going. This trade's gonna get the people going, Gerald.
I hate it. So this is the Timberwolves trade, and look, we know the Wolves are going to be interested. We know Anthony Davis loves Kevin Durant, but their means of making this happen are very limited and might revolve around Julius Randle, which, if I'm the Suns, no, thank you. And Naz Reid, like, I would love to have Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels, but Naz Reid is going to have to opt into his $15 million player option for that to happen, and that would make 0 sense for him. It would make more sense for him to opt out and get his well-deserved payday. So, an alternative, what if Ant and the Wolves are just kind of over the Rudy Gobert? And what if they're just kind of like, we want Kevin Durant, we'll give up Gobert, and you can have DiVincenzo to make the math work, and then we'll throw in Rob Dillingham, our top 10 pick from last year, and that's what you get.
Rudy Gobert,
Steven?
Dante, and Rob Dillingham.
Well, the way you
They don't get no picks back. Hell no.
presented this is maniacal and insane.
So we'll start
Like,
Nas Reed at the 5,
yes.
KD at the 4,
That being
and
said,
at the
though,
2, Mike Conley.
if
And
the-
Jay
if
McDaniels?
KD chooses to go to Minnesota,
I don't know.
and obviously Minnesota's willing to give up whatever because they don't have much to give up, and they're just retooling their roster to continue to contend in a different context, you don't really have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a tough bullet to bite with the Gobert age and the contract, and those are dynamics that I'm sure we'll get to even more in a little bit, but that's tough.
The chat's asking for picks with this. I don't know how possible that would be. I don't know Minnesota's pick situation off the top
They
of my
have
head.
one pick to offer, and it is not a good pick. So you are looking at kind of a rough situation there.
So
Teddy,
can I-
if you have a chance to get KD, you figure everything else out after that.
Nas Reed would be playing center.
It's
That's if
Detroit's
he's coming back, though.
So
Yeah.
the only pick that Minnesota can trade, thanks to the Rudy Gobert trade, is the pick that they are owed from Detroit this year, which is number 17. So that's the only first-round pick that they could offer.
So, oh god, this is so gross.
It's disgusting.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's a
I'm
bad
gonna
trade
say-
from Phoenix, I ain't
I'm
gonna
gonna
lie.
say something I don't want to say,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
Let's explore why trading for Rudy Gobert might actually be a good thing for the Suns.
Okay.
Oh
Let's-
god, I hate it.
Let's do it.
So, Rudy Gobert would be the best center in Suns history. Maybe
Yeah.
besides Alvin Adams.
Yeah.
Like, Rudy Gobert is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Now, listen, I don't like Rudy Gobert. I want to make that abundantly clear. However, if you want a defensive identity,
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert will give you a defensive identity. I can't even do this for a
It
straight
does.
face.
You're doing it.
He would be able to play alongside Devin Booker, obviously a center and a guard. And Dante DiVincenzo is an elite three-point shooter, is a wing, which is something that the Suns still need. Somebody who has proven that he can play in the postseason, which
shit, I'm
the
tripping.
Suns would need if you're making this trade. You're still trying to compete. And then you're taking a shot on Rob Dillingham, a young guard that could probably come off the bench for you and try to make something happen. I think Rudy Gobert is better than people give him credit for because of the online discourse, which I do find absolutely hilarious, and he has brought upon himself in so many different ways. But, Steven, he's walking into the Hall of Fame. He has 4 Defensive Player of the Years. He has his limitations, but at the same time, he's a good basketball player for what he is. And for what he is, he would have a place in this new identity the Phoenix Suns are trying to create.
You say you want a center that has roll gravity. You find few in the history of the league that have more than Rudy Gobert provides. You say you want someone that provides vertical spacing. You find few centers in the history of the league that provide that in the ways in which Rudy Gobert can do so. Talk about the defensive side. You already spoke at great length about the defensive anchorship. I also want to point to the rebounding dynamic. His presence on the boards and just his general presence on the court and the way that impacts the decisions of everybody else in terms of whether they're looking to score or pass, and the way it puts everybody else in position to be successful. There's residual effect from that most
People don't
can't
take that
really
into
even
account, bro. You have to
present in
change your
terms of
whole
comparing
fucking
to his,
offense
impact on
around
the game.
fucking
He do a
Rudy
lot worse
Gobert,
than
bro.
Rudy Gobert, your center, even at his age. And I think that part needs to be included with everybody that's kind
That's
of.
why the Lakers
Just
gotta
as a
hit
potential
and
trade.
get up more
Yeah,
threes, bro.
Look, Gobert is one of the greatest defenders of all time. I do have major concerns. Like, aside from the obvious of does Minnesota want to do this, I think they kind of would because they want to get out of what they owe Gobert still. It hasn't worked out. They got worse this year. That's mostly because of the cat trade, and that's their own fault. But I worry about the fact that he's 32 years old. Yep. I worry. The money is not terrible. He's making around $30 million, and I think he has a player option for $38 million in like 2027, and that's his final year. I do worry a little bit about the offense because he has regressed as he's gotten older. And I don't like that you're not getting a pick. You're kind of putting all your chips in terms of future blue chip prospects that you get from a Kevin Durant trade on Rob Dillingham, and I think he's shown flashes for sure. But I don't know if I'm 100% sure that that kid is going to be it.
Oh, my God.
So this one's tough. I really wanted to, and I did in the article, build around Jaden McDaniels, but the way their contracts are structured, it's hard to make the math work unless Naz Reid opts in and wants to be traded to Phoenix. That's the difficult part there.
Yeah, you have a couple more Minnesota trades, including Julius Randle centered one as well. Maybe you guys in the chat who are just roasting me alive would prefer those trades. So you can let me know down in the comments once you become a diehard and you read Gerald's article. Let's get to a massive super chat from Teddy. And I'm talking massive, not just with text, but with the money as well. $49.99 from Teddy saying, why wouldn't the Thunder trade Chet? SGA, KD, Jalen Williams, and Dort is going to be like 600 M's a year in 2 years, LMAO. Chet, Caruso, Dort in some seconds. They could take Dunn with KD also. Same OKC front office traded Harden 3 months after the finals because of money.
Yes, but A, I think or would hope that they've learned their lesson from doing that, and B, like, they don't have to do it right now. Like you said, they're going to be making a lot of money in 2 years. That's in 2 years. Like, they still, and this is all operating under the assumption that they completely flame out in the second round of the playoffs this year, which I think most of us on this panel would agree is not happening. I don't see them putting any of their big three on the trade block in a Kevin Durant trade.
Not until they have to.
Yeah,
and like you said, they don't have to. And the whole goal of trading for Kevin Durant, Steven, would be to pair him with those players, not instead of those players.
Correct.
Well, if they don't win this year, the only way they could get better.
And the fact that they're still probably
let's say just lose to a better team
ahead of their projections.
Yeah.
So why rush? They're playing with easily found money right now. Last season especially, but even more so this year.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Chat
what the
is
fuck am I
saying
doing?
They're very disappointed in me. Guys, I literally said I didn't like it.
You don't have to like the guy, but you do have to respect the fact that he is one of the greatest all-time defenders in the NBA.
Are you still talking about her?
No, go back.
You don't have to respect the guy. Yeah. No, listen, chat. I'm sorry. I'll be better. I promise you. This will be the last time I defend Rudy Gobert on this podcast.
Maybe.
Unless they trade for him.
Unless the impossible happens.
Then I'll have to talk myself into it because that's just what I did.
To some of the people who played in the chat, if you took away the name and you just put up the picture, or if you put up an anonymous picture of Rudy Gobert, listed off the stats, you listed off the impact numbers, and you listed off the resume, how many Suns fans that have been clamoring for a center cut from Matt Cross would be,
Betty Crocker,
oh my God, sign him now. Yes, do it.
Right.
And then you see the picture, it's like, oh man, I'm out. That's why you have to look at it the right way. I know yes, I understand everything that comes with that, but at the same time, who's an impact player?
I think we need to adjust our mindset this summer, especially if the Suns are able to live. If the Suns are able to live up to all the stuff they're talking about, establishing a gritty defensive identity and maybe passing over more talented players to get guys that fit better. Like, over the last couple of years, we've gotten used to big name moves and flashy superstar trades, and it hasn't worked out. So, like, we are not good enough to be turning our nose up at anybody that can help this team carve out a defensive identity, fit with Devin Booker, and help this team get back on the right track. If you don't agree that's Rudy Gobert, that's totally fine. That is worth debating. But I do think we got to readjust our mindset here because a lot of the names we're going to be throwing out are not going to be sexy names. They're just not.
Counterpoint on Rudy Gobert.
This shit is hard, bro. Pause. Resume.
Not the mic.
Yeah, if you didn't know what that was audio and you just had to adjust your headphones, just touch his microphone. You know? Just
leave those mics
just
low.
an ode to. Okay.
It's funny when somebody types it. You can't do that. You can't do
that. Maybe you'll like the trades we have for you up next, including a former fan favorite. We're going to get into those, and we'll talk a little playoff basketball right after our final break. If you are looking to buy a house, why not take a guarantee? That guarantee coming from, of course, no one else but the Carol Royce team. She has an 18-month buyback guarantee where you can buy with peace of mind. It's a big decision, Joe. You bought a house.
I have.
What if I told you that when you bought that house, you didn't like it?
That would have been terrible.
Right. You move in, it's like 6-7 months in. The things that you thought weren't going to be a big deal, well, they ended up being a big deal.
That's brutal for me.
Well, if you bought your house with Carol Royce, you can go back to her and be like, hey, Carol, can you buy it back? And she would go, oh, is it within 18 months? Yes, I will buy that back. And now you can go purchase a home that you feel like would be better for you and that you would fit in. That is a Carol Royce guarantee. And maybe you're looking to move, but you need to sell first. Buy one of Carol's homes, and she'll buy yours for cash. It's just that easy. If you're ready to find your dream home, there's no other option. Take the next step by calling Carol Royce at 480-776-5231. Once again, 480-776-5231, or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com and tell them PHNX sent you. That's carolroyceteam.com. Terms and conditions do apply. And when you buy your home, extend your outdoor living space with All Pro Shave Concepts. You can choose from hundreds of designs and colors to match any home, and of course they'll work with your pesky HOA for approvals. But beyond the colors, beyond the material, it's the impact of installing with All Pro Shade Concepts. You can keep your patio up to 20 degrees cooler in the shade over the summer, and that makes a big difference. Also makes a big difference who you can trust who's doing it. Voted #1 by Ranking Arizona for patio shades in 2024, an A+ Better Business Bureau ranking, and of course over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. In business for the last 20 years in the Valley. Started making window shades by hand for friends and family. Now they're one of the largest installers of patio roll-down shades and motorized awnings in the Valley. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com right now to schedule your free estimate.
It's like, bro, they don't have a weak spot on defense, bro. They just don't.
I wasn't looking. I was an ad read.
It's really annoying.
We got some Carol Royce, Brad Beal jokes.
Oh, Brian.
We got a lot of stuff going
on. I appreciate
and he makes everything.
Holy fuck. Some of the best profile pictures, I would say. It's just this chat. Only second to the Cardinals. If you haven't seen what the Cardinals chat does, it's just a bunch of Bo and Johnny. It's fantastic. So this is my challenge for you guys. Next time I produce the show, well, actually that's going to be tomorrow. And then maybe by next week, I want more pictures of Eric, Steven, and Joe.
Okay. We used to have a couple people in here that had unflattering images of me as their profile pics. But
Girth Jr.?
Girth Jr. was there for a while.
I love the ice cream cone picture.
I think it was
it looked like a low tech.
I think it was a deep fried Twix, I think, or no, Snickers.
No free ads.
Completely.
No free ads at all.
Anyway, let's go.
A candy bar.
Well,
generic candy bar.
This is a name that we have heard quite a bit of chatter with, a team that we've heard quite a bit of chatter. It's former Suns fan favorite Mikal Bridges coming back to Phoenix from the New York Knicks, along with Mitchell Robinson and 4 second-round picks in 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028. In exchange, the New York Knicks finally get their big fish, Kevin Durant, to New York. And in this 3-team trade to make the money work, the Nets receive Josh Hart. Steven, Mikal Bridges, Mitchell Robinson, 4 second-round picks. Yes or no for Kevin Durant? Yeah.
4 second-round picks is not enough.
Gross.
My Kendrick Lamar voice.
It's not
enough.
Unapologetically. Yeah, especially you add on top of that Mitchell Robinson's lack of availability. That's a tough bullet to bite right there. Mikal would be cool.
If you even out Mikal and Mitch Rob's availability, it's about on average. So
if Mitch had Mikal's availability, you'd be a perennial All-NBA type of defender and borderline All-Star, honestly. But that's like the Suns have already had their bouts with injuries as it is. Bringing back Mikal would be cool for the vibes. I'm sure he'll be better than a lot of people have said in our chat and in discourse on Twitter the last couple of weeks. But
that's what I get. I'm doubling over.
I don't know about that one.
He's not. You know what I'm saying?
So the Knicks do not have a first-round pick offer because they gave up the 5 for Mikal Bridges. So they don't. You can potentially do pick swaps, like we saw the Suns do with the Wizards and some of the trades that they've made recently. But those are inherently less valuable. I look. People have been like labeling Mikal as this terrible player. He's not a terrible player. He's just not as good defensively as he was here. That's for sure, especially at the point of attack, which is kind of what the Suns could use a little bit more of. And the hitch is bad, but he's still averaging like 18 a game on 50% shooting. 35% from 3 is a little bit down from where it normally is, but he's not having like some terrible season. My concern would be how much are you going to pay him next summer when he becomes a free agent? Because if that next contract is way inflated, then that's a problem for me. And then on top of that, you're only getting 4 second-round picks because the Knicks don't have one to offer, and the Nets, if they're being involved in this trade and taking on Josh Hart, they're not going to give up a first-round pick for Josh Hart. So they would throw in 2 seconds. The Knicks would throw in 2 seconds because that's all they have to offer. That's kind of not enough in terms of the draft capital for me.
So I agree with you. I think that the conversation has shifted on Mikal a lot, and I think part of that is because of expectations, a lack of offensive growth, not the fact that he can't play well on offense, but just that when he went over to Brooklyn and he was carrying at the end of that season and he was averaging over 20 a game, and it felt like, oh, first option Mikal Bridges is here, and that just hasn't carried over. That being said, I don't really want him back here. I think that it would be fun. I think he's going to look for a big contract. This is a guy that just went for 5 first-round picks. He's going to sell that he has a lot more value than what he was used for in New York when he was alongside other wings and other scoring options like Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns. I like him as a player. I really do. But not having that same step defensively as he had when he was here, he was top 2 defensive player of the year, is a big selling point on the no for me. I wouldn't do this. 4 second-round picks, a center who's available for like 30% of the games, and a Mikal Bridges that hasn't continued this career trajectory that we expected him to be on. For the guy that you gave up that much for, I think there are plenty of other trades that we have talked about that I would do before this one.
Gerald, what is Mikal's contract again?
So he will be on an expiring about $25 million deal next season, and then he'll be a free agent in 2026.
So the Suns will be getting a player that has a lot to prove if they want to cash in on another substantial payday. Mm-hmm. In addition to a completely different role than he played either with the Brooklyn Nets or with the New York Knicks, offensively and defensively. Offensively, he's 4th in the pecking order to OG, Jalen Brunson, and Karl Anthony Towns. Mm-hmm. Defensively, his matchups and the role that he's playing is a little different than normal, with Josh Hart being out there spending time with him, as well as OG Anunoby. Things are very different for Mikal, and this is his very first season with the team that saw a lot of injuries over the course of the season. Yeah. So his role was never consistent. Mm-hmm. Like, all these factors need to be brought into the context if you're evaluating a player that you might be potentially expecting to come into your team's context, what they could provide, and what type of motivating factors off the court might be in play. And I don't think there's a better time to get a player like Mikal, someone that's comfortable here, a familiar face, a season that was severely underwhelming that will help uplift spirits, make things fun again, someone that gets along with your franchise player. Also a player that's going to be betting on himself on the court and looking to cash in on that. That's a lot of...
I feel you.
There's a lot of context there that kind of align with someone being impactful.
Again, I'm not anti Mikal Bridges back on the Suns. I'm anti that trade, and I think that if there was this deal that Steven, you actually cooked up in another 3-team deal with the Knicks and with Brooklyn, I would actually be a lot more in on bringing Mikal back, because that defense that he might have lost a little bit, you're going to be gaining back at the center position with somebody who's more available. In this trade, the Suns received Mikal Bridges and Nick Claxton. That's it. No picks. Knicks received Kevin Durant, and the Nets received Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson. Gerald, how do you feel about this trade?
I like this one that Steven cooked up. I for me, obviously if you're the Suns, you're getting Mikal Bridges, and for all the concerns with Bridges that we've gone through already, you're also getting a starting caliber center who's still young and has a lot of room for growth.
And under contract for 3 years at $25.3 million.
Right, under contract, a great defensive player. That would be a good get if you're the Suns from a player standpoint. Not getting any picks hurts, but if you're getting those two guys in return, that's pretty solid. For me, the issue that we would talk about is why would the Nets do this? Because, they're giving up the best player here, and they're getting, a wing that they would probably wind up flipping who's like 30 years old, and a center who barely ever plays. Like, unless you're attaching draft picks to that, it doesn't make sense, and all the Knicks would have to offer is seconds. Like, do the Suns throw in Kevin Durant and a first to get Mikal Bridges and Nick Claxton?
I would not do that.
Because then I don't like the deal as much.
No, any throwing in picks from the Suns' end in a Kevin Durant trade, it's going to take a lot more than Mikal and Nick Claxton to bring back in any scenario where that happens, Steve.
Yeah. I just wanted to shine a light on one of the big things that stood out to me this season. It might have happened indirectly, unintentionally, but having to rely so heavily on Osuli Adaro for the change of pace dynamics that he brought, the skill to change of speed with him in pick and roll, the short roll playmaking, the processing, all of the athleticism that he infused into the front court, and then defensively the switching, the ability to cross match, a little bit of rim protection, the hand activity, all of those things and the templates and dynamics that he brought to the court get like a times 10 multiplier in a player that's only 25 years old, that's barely scratching the surface of his potential in Nick Claxton. Offensively, can do everything in an evolved fashion that the Suns will be looking to want from that position going forward outside of shooting threes.
This shit is hard as fuck.
He's shooting like 70% from the rim for the last handful of seasons, and that's not just off of set a screen, roll to the basket, layup. These are soft touch floaters. These are self-created buckets off of drives, inverted pick and roll, cuts. Like, this is, if you're talking about them trying to play an evolved version of basketball, getting to a next level with that, Nick Claxton unlocks all of that stuff offensively and defensively. He can go and switch or just outright guard someone like Luka Doncic off rip, Trae Young off rip, and any player in between on that spectrum of players in addition to actual centers. And that's exactly what Jordy Fernandez has been doing the last 2 seasons now with Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think this would be an interesting trade to talk yourself into if you're trying to retool, not rebuild, not looking at picks. And I think in this case, I don't know what you're going to be doing with Bradley Beal because you're not going to be getting any draft assets to attach onto him. So maybe you're trying to run it with Book, Beal, Mikal, Claxton, and maybe Dunn in your starting lineup, which is an interesting blend of offense and defense as well. I do want to correct myself from earlier in the podcast. When we were going through the Oklahoma City trades, I said that they were getting the 20th pick via Miami. That's actually the 15th pick that they're going to be getting. So in those deals with Hartenstein, whether it's the Lou Dort one or the Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe one, it's the 15th pick in this year's draft, not the 20th. Now, the reason I say that is because our final trade that we're going to be going through here is from the Miami Heat, including their first-round pick this year, which is the 20th overall pick that they are attaining via Golden State, but that is not the main part of this deal. The players, Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, and Haywood Highsmith, that 20th overall pick from this season's draft in 2025, plus Miami's own 2029 first-round pick and 2031 first-round pick. So current draft capital, some wings, and some picks down the line in the late 2020s and 2030s. Gerald, I don't love this trade, but for those who think we are overrating Kevin Durant's value, this feels like it falls in alignment with where they think it would be.
Yeah, and I think it ties in with an answer to Ted Offensive's question in the chat. Do any of these trades make the Suns contenders or just more of a complete team? I don't think there is a Kevin Durant trade that is going to make the Suns contenders. Kevin Durant is a top 10, 15 player in the league, depending on how you look at him. If you're trading a guy like that away and you're doing it from a position of leverage, you're probably not going to be getting better immediately.
Yeah, I agree as well. There's a tightrope that you have to walk. But if you're watching on TV, I want to remind you, the party always continues over at GoPHNX.com. And we all know what that means, baby. It's time for some overtime. That's right. Overtime here on PHNX Suns. Appreciate all of you. Hit that like button. Steven, Andrew Wiggins.
So because I did want to talk about the Heat trade because I know we had to say goodbye to our viewers there.
TV viewers.
This trade is gross to me. Obviously, you're getting 3 first-round picks, which is good. One of them in this year's draft from Golden State. The other 2 are 2029 and 2031, so they're a ways away. But man, Wiggins is fine. I think he's got another 1 or 2 years left on his deal. Duncan Robinson is an expiring contract, so that would help you with cap space for the next year. Haywood Highsmith is actually a player that I like. He's on a bargain contract, but for me, this is kind of like a worst case scenario type trade.
Yeah, this one would be tough to see. The picks are obviously most valued here again.
What the fuck?
Oof, Andrew Wiggins with the Suns in 2025.
What a world.
And that's no disrespect to him, but just how the mighty have fallen. That's the type of vibe that they give.
I'll say it disrespectfully.
He was good during the Warriors championship.
He was their
run.
second best player
a few years ago.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins, I think, is a fine player in this league.
Yes,
he has a role.
He has a role, and that's the thing. You can't overstack his plate because we've seen what that kind of plays to, and there's not been the player that was an X factor for the Golden State Warriors when they won a championship. He hasn't really reached that level in a sustained manner in quite some time. And for the Suns to have him come back in the Kevin Durant trade to where now he's a number 2 option, I don't know, man. That's tough. That would be a tough bullet to bite. But I think my saving grace for me personally with this trade is that I don't think KD will want to go to Miami. So
I love that. I love the chat.
But guys, they're not getting Khalil.
No, that's not happening.
Where's not
That's
happening?
not happening.
I also love the demanding nature they have. And give us Davion Mitchell like
Right.
holding a gun.
I have to play
You
more
guys
off.
were bashing us for the Suns having no leverage, and then we don't have Khalil Ware, and suddenly pick a lane. Pick
Like
one.
I said in the cold open, everybody's going to be happy today. We are going to wrap up trade talk here and quickly touch on some NBA playoffs, games that happened last night, predict the games that happened tonight. Before we do that, Steven, Gerald, final thoughts on a smorgasbord of trades that we went through here today.
Yeah, go become a diehard. Go read the article. There's a lot more trades in there that range from maybe unrealistic to less flattering if you're the Suns. Because like we said, we're trying to create a spectrum of what to expect and what range these potential returns might fall in. And like we said off the top, the Suns need to work with KD and hope that he has a wider list of wish list teams. Because if he doesn't, then that really hurts their leverage. If you're the Suns, you're hoping multiple teams are competing against each other to try and get Kevin Durant because they flamed out in the playoffs. That's the only situation where you start to get maybe a little bit more value than you would expect from Kevin Durant at age 36.
All right, this is what I want,
but he still is a very good player, and like we said, a lot of people, when the Nets were going to trade Kevin Durant, thought there was no way they were going to get anything of value for him either. And yes, the Suns were the ones that gave them plenty of value, but there are lots of dumb teams in the league. So, just saying.
Again, for me, I would rather the Suns go for it with Kevin Durant still in the roster.
Yeah.
And I will also say again that I'm hoping that if in the event that he does have to be traded, it comes after a Bradley Beal trade, because then you have more clarity as far as what exactly you're working with in terms of talent, what you might have to get in return, and maybe potentially if you get things that you don't desire in return, can then be immediately flipped so they don't have to spend time on your books. I just feel like that makes the most sense. First step was the head coach decision. They made that promptly. The next step, in my opinion, should be the Bradley Beal trade. So if that happens, you get things back in return. Maybe something that you see of value that another team might not. That might make it facilitating the Durant trade, a little easier, or it might just help with building around the roster with Durant and Booker at the top.
Yeah, before I get to my final thoughts, I want to read another super chat from Teddy dropping bucks today. Teddy499 says, if you're the Suns and you're trading KD in Miami, why not just take Rozier and Robinson's expirings plus the picks?
Bro, why did he stop like
in
why did he shoot like that?
Like I said, there's lots of trades in the article. We did not go through them all because then I would be giving the article away for free.
Also, clean books is not something that Terry Rozier is known for.
That's crazy.
But that is a valid point in terms of the expiring. But
he made that bullshit,
man,
bro.
just
like
3 picks and expiring contracts for KD is tough.
That would be sad, and some of you in the chat feel like that's all the Suns would be able to get. But, of course, the Suns not in the playoffs before we get to that. I know. Before we get to that, my final thoughts. I want it written in the papers. I want it put out there that I was not glazing Rudy Gobert. Okay? I need that in writing. All right.
Things I was not expecting you to say on the show, but here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. Let's talk
And
about
this
some
motherfucker
actual
coming back
real
in.
fun.
Of course, bro. Like,
if you're gonna talk to me, please spell my name the right way. Stephen, Stephen.
Preaching to the
yes,
choir.
I watched every game probably 3 or 4 times this season, just for clarity purposes. So
Now,
say my name.
spell my name.
Right.
Okay. The playoffs. 2 games happened last night. 2 good games in 2 series ended up being tied 1-1 in the Western Conference. Apparently, we had the Clippers beat the Pacers. No, the Clippers actually beat the Nuggets.
Finals
105 to 102. Kawhi Leonard was crazy.
Yeah, clearly.
It's Adam Silver's nightmare for the finals.
If it's Clippers Pacers in the finals and that's the script, they need new writers. And then you have the Detroit Pistons beating the New York Knicks 100-94. Both those series tied 1-1. Gerald, where would you like to start, West or East?
Let's start West because, man, the Clippers, Steven, you mentioned this to some of our diehards in the Discord, but they are kind of the blueprint of how, if you're the Suns, you ideally would want to rebuild, because heading into the season, a lot of people were underwhelmed by them. We're writing them off in the West, and a couple of us had said, we think this team could be a playoff team because of some of the additions that they made, defensive-minded guys, good fitting pieces. Nothing sexy, nothing over the top, but they complement their stars well, and you're seeing it on a big stage right now. They should honestly be up 2-0 in that series. They let Game 1 slip away. They've been playing really well. Ivica Zubac is fantastic. Like, that's a fun series and a fun team. And Kawhi, man.
Ooh, Kawhi.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So there's a couple things with the Clippers I want to talk about. First of all, Jeff Van Gundy. One of the homies, Steph, if you don't follow him on Twitter, you definitely should. He wrote about a little exclusive we had with the Clippers and just kind of highlighting Jeff Van Gundy's impact. One of the quotes came from Chris Dunn, and
bro, what the fuck,
man?
So this is crazy.
He said he gives you the answers to the test, to where all you have to do is go and execute.
I keep saying what I gotta do, but I keep not doing it.
Via their daily habits. That's from an assistant coach. That is everything you want from your head coach in terms of getting a buy-in. You get that from your assistant coach in tandem with your head coach, who is Ty Lue, one of the best defensive coaches in the league. You're working with something. They have multiple players that an opposing team looks at as non-shooters. Chris Dunn, and in particular, in tandem with Chris Dunn, you look at who was I just thinking about? Derrick Jones Jr. Yes. So you look at those two in particular. Both of those two playing hefty minutes for the Clippers. That's not swaying Ty Lue's opinion on whether he's going to play or not. They figure out ways to make it work, and then they implore them to do what they do best on the other end of the court, which brings value to the team. That's what a team is. It can't all just be offensive players or all defensive players. You figure out how to make the guys' strengths work for them, and then you figure out how to insulate the weaknesses on the other end.
Yeah, I think this is going to shape up to probably be the best first-round series. I also think the series in the East has a contention with that. Detroit getting their first playoff win since what? 2010? 2008?
No. I think it was 2010, I think.
It's been a long, long time for the Detroit Pistons. I know the last time they were in the playoffs was that Blake Griffin year that he got injured and they got swept in the first round. Cade Cunningham, Mario Napros2 in the chat put it the best. He is him. It is extremely fun to watch a young superstar come into his own and be that guy on a big stage that I'm sure Pistons fans knew he could be. Not in the way that they played, but watching him go off, I had kind of flashbacks to also Devin Booker when he went into the playoffs, and a lot of people questioned his efficiency and what he was going to be able to do in his first playoff run, just stamping and certifying that it translates. I saw that in the same way with Cade. Detroit tied 1-1, Gerald. Such a fun series for a dynamic of reasons. It's a great time.
Yeah, our producer Noah was thrilled, and rightfully so. It was validating to see, especially because the Pistons were terrible last year. They've been bad for a couple of years, and I feel like people have let that reflect on Cade, kind of similar to, like we were saying, Devin Booker early in his career as a good stats, bad team kind of guy. And that's always unfair to young players that are learning to take those steps and actually need talent around them to thrive. And now that they have that, you're seeing a young player get to thrive on that big stage, and he's making the most of it. So hats off to him. Hopefully a long and fun series ahead for Knicks Pistons.
You know that they're the only team in NBA history to triple their win total? Isn't that crazy?
That's
The
insane.
Tobias Harris effect, many are saying.
Yes, many are saying.
And that's the direct example of why it's not always fit to blame a head coach for why a team did not succeed. Because J.B. Bickerstaff had just been fired, a month or two before he got hired by the Detroit Pistons? And then you get the context that Shane just brought up with that win total jump. You can't just always blame the coach for things. You gotta add the context.
They blame Monty Williams.
That's relevant too. But back to the playoff series we're speaking to. Kate Cunningham was great. Tobias Harris, and it's not the offense I'm talking about. Who's guarding Karl Anthony Towns in that series?
Tobias Harris.
Intentionally. And who is shouldering the brunt of that matchup and taking him off the plate? Talk about why he didn't score in that fourth quarter of game 2. And you go and rewatch it again and look at all of the efforts that Tobias Harris is making. This is what playoff basketball is about. This is what an evolved attack to defense looks like. You would naturally think, okay, Jalen Duren's got to go guard him. Now we got to worry about protecting the basket. But then you put Tobias Harris there, like a lot of teams are done with the Knicks this season. Put wings on Karl Anthony Towns. Take away some of the spots he likes to get to. Take away his three-point shooting. What more can he do if he can't put the ball on the deck and drive past somebody?
The Knicks have to find an adjustment because opponents have been putting bigs on Josh Hart all season, and Josh Hart has not been able to make them pay. They have not been able to make them pay for that strategy, and Josh Hart hasn't been able to knock down shots. So, they have to find a way out of this, or this series could swing the Pistons' way pretty quickly.
Rapid fire for tonight.
Also, by the way, they won game 2 without Isaiah Stewart, by the way. That's their backup center that does a lot of the same stuff in a more physical manner than Jalen Duren does.
So for tonight, Milwaukee, Indiana already underway. Indiana up 4. We all know they're going to the finals, so no surprise there.
Sure.
Indiana is also up 1-0 in that series. Do we feel like Milwaukee can pull out a win tonight with Dame?
They can. I still feel like it's going to be Pacers in 6 for me, either way.
I think I picked Pacers in either 6 or 7. I still think it's the same, but I do think that the Bucks are going to go steal one tonight.
Okay, so you think Bucks will steal one tonight. I'm going to go Pacers, go up 2-0. Also going up 2-0, in my opinion, OKC over Memphis. Anybody disagree?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you disagree?
No, I do not.
Gerald standing on business for the Memphis Grizzlies.
I said Thunder in 3 quarters.
Thunder in 3
Do
quarters.
you think they get it within 15 tonight?
15?
I think they adjust and they shoot better.
Lose by 25.
I don't know if they get within 15. Though.
How the fuck?
They play a lot better. They really clean things up. They only lose by 25 points.
Well, because with our friends at Bet365, I took the Thunder minus 14.5.
Did you? Okay.
And that was the spread.
Okay.
The final game, 7 p.m. tip-off tonight. Minnesota, LA. Minnesota looking to go 2-0 on the road.
Oh, I missed that. No way I'm fucking missed that, bro.
The Lakers winning a game tonight. LeBron always has a feel-out game in game 1. I think him and Luka will come out in game 2, put on a show, tie that series 1-1, heading over to Minnesota.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Jaden McDaniels and some of the role players shoot as well as they did in game 1. Lakers have to be better, obviously, but I think the Lakers defense will be a lot better tonight. I think they even it up.
I mean, what they care about playing defense?
Yeah, get a hand up.
Because they don't care.
Phoenix Suns ball.
But they don't care, and I can see Jaden McDaniels
going 11 for 13.
Right, exactly. That being said, though, if Anthony Edwards is the best player on the court, they're winning that series in 6.
Yeah.
I think I said Minnesota in 7 in the predictions. I'm still holding to that. I do think the Lakers are going to.
What the fuck is he doing?
You know LeBron didn't have a point, rebound, or assist in the first quarter.
Jeez.
Last game.
Yo, Jared, what are you doing?
Hashtag washed key.
Like, what are you doing?
He's going for 40, 15, and 10 tonight.
He was trying to do the Chris
What
Paul
the
thing
fuck
without
was
them.
that?
You can't, with this roster, they have no room to err on that part.
I will say one thing to Anthony Edwards' point to wrap things up here. His playmaking has been really good. 9 assists to 1 turnover. That's the tied for the best assist to turnover ratio in a single game in his career. That coming in the playoffs, if he can make that step along with the 3-point step, he is a scary, scary player. But let us know what you think about playoffs in the comments below. Steven and I on Thursday, once all the game 2s are wrapped up, we're going to get in here on Thursday morning and talk all playoff matchups. It's going to be for diehards only, which is just another reason to become a diehard today. Read Gerald's full trade breakdown article. So many more trades, probably ones that you were saying out loud. Well, why didn't they do this one? Why did they include this player? Why are they talking about? All of them are probably in that article, plus all the Trade Machine Tuesdays that will be coming up, plus so much more for being a diehard, getting a free t-shirt, 20% off for events, and of course, exclusive video and audio content only at gophnx.com/join.
I'll say also, read. and read.
Yes.
But if you don't want to or don't have the time to read, we have a player at the top of our articles, so where you can just listen to a transcribed version of whatever written piece that you're listening to from Gerald, from Bo, from myself, anybody else that might write something. We take that reading task off of you at times if you don't have the time to, or if you're driving or whatever. So it's almost like a podcast.
Yeah.
So take advantage. Get the information, and then you can use that information to better inform the people that you're having conversations with.
Be a smarter fan. Listen to Steven, and that's Steven with a PH, just so you know. A shout out to the Beef and Bach behind the Mac and making all the magic happen. We appreciate him. You can follow us at PHNX_Sons. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. Once again, that's Steven with a PH because he balances us out. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. You can follow me, apparently the Rudy Gobert Glazer at ERIKRUBY.
Self-proclaimed, by the way.
Self-proclaimed. I think I'm going to clip that and put that on Twitter. That should be fun. We'll talk to you guys at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Dog City like the mayor.
Come on, let me get that N1. It's my defense, bro. Like, it's so hard to play defense on this difficulty, bro. This shit is hard as fuck. Pause, resume. This motherfucker just makes everything, bro. Like, he doesn't miss. Oh my god. Oh my. That's a steal. The ball is right there. It's a steal. It's a steal, 3K. It's a steal.
Timberwolves with possession. Well, for the Timberwolves, they can just run out the clock here. Now here's Randall. Finney Smith defending. And so it's going to be a 3-second violation out there on the defense. At the line for the Timberwolves, Mike Conley. At the line for one. What's up?
We'll send it over to David Aldridge, who is standing by courtside. David.
Thanks very much, Mike. Congrats on the win. It looked like you guys stayed with your identity tonight. You think so?
Yeah, we wanted to just play our game, stick to what we do best, get the ball inside, score in the paint, just try to make easy plays. And I think that's what we did, and we're able to just build off of that.
You guys are one of the best teams at staying to what you do. Congrats on the win. Back to you, Kevin.
Much appreciated, David. And that about wraps it up, folks. We hope you've enjoyed our broadcast of the NBA Western Conference quarterfinals. So for Stan Van Gundy, Greg Anthony, and David Aldridge, I'm Kevin Harlan. Thanks for watching the NBA on 2K Sports. And now we present the player of the game, Anthony Edwards.
Oh my God. That was a lot. This motherfucker got 51, bro. Like, I'm starting a game like that next time, bro, because he still had good halves, though. Ain't gonna lie. Like, what the hell?